Welcome back in, everybody. Happy day 6 of Unicorn Week. Days 1 through 5, incredible whiskeys. Not a bad one in the bunch, honestly. We've got another good one today. I'm sure hoping so, at least. We are going to be reviewing Pappy Van Winkle 23 year. Probably one of the most expensive bottles you can get on secondary. On secondary, this full bottle will go for about $2,000, up to $2,500 even. It retails at about $300, and it is a true unicorn for any whiskey or bourbon enthusiast. This comes out of Buffalo Trace Distillery. As mentioned, it's a member of the Pappy Van Winkle family. We already talked about Pappy Van Winkle 15 earlier in the week, so I am very curious to see how this compares to the 15. See if it's similar in flavor profile or if that 23 years is just too much. For those of you that have seen the channel before, you know I'm not a huge oak guy, so I'm a little leery of overly oaked whiskeys. I have had I've tried Elijah Craig 18 3 times, 3 different single barrels. One was way too much oak for me. It was like licking an oak barrel. I'm worried about that. I'm really worried about that. This is a wheated mash bill, so I'm hoping the wheat is going to mellow that oak a little bit. We'll find out though. As mentioned, 23 years. This is 47.8%. And this is the 2019 release of Pappy Van Winkle 23. Let's go right into the color here. Pappy. This is extremely dark. So they probably, being 23 years old, I'm sure the yield on these barrels was not very high. Also, the proof was brought down to 47.8, likely just so they could have some supply. They probably lost upwards of 80% of the whiskey in the barrels. But even with being watered down to that proof, this color is very dark. 23 years in oak is going to give you dark color either way. It really is. Legs are pretty much non-existent. A little, sticking to the glass a little bit, but let's go into the nose. Punch of sweet oak first. A little bit of drying oak on the back of the nose, like after I take that deep inhalation. The front of the nose gives you the sweet oak, but the back of the nose gives you almost like there could be a drying note in there. Maybe I'm talking myself into it because I'm worried about the drying note. We'll see. It's going to show up on the taste if it's going to show up for sure. This definitely smells far more aged than the previous 2 wheaters we've tried this week. So the William Lure Weller, which was a 15 year, and also the Pappy 15. Nice caramel. Very nice caramel vanilla notes do come through though. Holding true to that Buffalo Trace profile, it's really like that cherry, cinnamon cherry note. Which I really think all 3 wheaters we tried this week have had that cinnamon cherry note really come through. Nice rich creaminess again. I think wheat in general can add a nice layer of richness and creaminess. Even some of the younger expressions. I get a nice creaminess on the nose a lot of times with the Weller 107 too. But the oak really does add a layer of depth and complexity. Being in that barrel for 23 years. Can't rush time. Baking spices are on this too for me. I don't know if that's more oak tannins with those baking spices coming through, but that last nose I just took gave me kind of a baking spice punch too. So let's go into the palate here, guys. Happy day 6. Happy Pappy. Cheers. Okay, there's that oak. Front of the palate, nice sweetness, nice richness, almost like fruity notes. You know, I got some fruity citrus notes even came through. When you hold it on the front of the palate, take it down the back of the palate, that's where that drying oak starts to come in. It is not off-putting by any means. The Elijah Craig 18 I had was a lot more of an off-putting drying oak than the 23 here. I really think this is much more balanced and works. The oak is much more muted, I guess, if you will. You can definitely taste the oak, and it is a little bit astringent, but not a huge amount. You know, it's not to where it's that bitter, sharp, hurt the back of your palate wood at all. The front of the palate Again, I said this about the Pappy 15. I just want to hold that whiskey in the front of my palate and just keep it there all day. Wouldn't be good for my teeth. My wife would kill me. She's a dental hygienist, but I would just want to hold it there. It's such good flavor on the front of the palate, the front of the tongue. That's excellent sweetness, almost like a vanilla pudding, vanilla ice cream with the cinnamon cherry. Really comes through. I would even say a little bit of a lighter chocolate, like a Nestle's powder chocolate is coming through on this. For some reason, I'm getting a lot more citrus too than I was expecting. I mean, usually if something's this aged, I'm getting dark fruit. I mean, and I can definitely see the dark raisins. But again, it's kind of pushing like a raisinette, like a chocolate covered raisin. Wow. That is a really good pour. I really thought that 23 years was going to make me not like this. I really did. It didn't. It doesn't leave the best finish, the best mouthfeel like we had yesterday with our William Llewellyn. That was probably the best mouthfeel and finish I've had in a whiskey. It's got a nice lingering Kentucky hug though at 47, almost 48%. But the mouthfeel is not quite as good. If you like heavily oaked bourbons, if you love that oak note, this is going to be a great option for you. If you can ever find it, or if you can pay a decent price, if you can get it at a bar at a decent price. Because the oak is prevalent in first, Very well balanced for 23 years. I don't know if there's a better highly aged whiskey, at least that I've tried, that's this well balanced. Something pushing the 23 years, you can ruin a whiskey very quick that way. Even after 10, 15 years, you can just get all bitter and it's not good. But this does not do that. This has something for the oak lovers out there. It really does. Me personally, I think I prefer the 15-year to the 23-year. They are both very, very good whiskeys. They are. I wish Pappy's were bad. I really do, because, man, I could get so much stuff for the amount of for one Pappy. I could get a lot of stuff. But I'll tell you what, they're damn good. They're damn good, just like the rest of the stuff we tried this week. The rest of the BTAC we've tried has been great, too. I really was hoping they were going to be bad, so I wouldn't have to worry about trying to find a bottle, but this is a true once-in-a-lifetime whiskey. This is something you only break out on special occasions. And this is a whiskey that's almost as old as I am. Just short of a few years. That's mind-blowing to think about. 29, almost 30. I would love to try a whiskey that's older than me someday. There's still a couple options out there. A lot more options than Scotch, but we'll have to find something someday. As mentioned, this is about $300 retail. Secondary up to $2,500. I cannot obviously recommend it for that price. If I could get one at my state minimum in Michigan, which is $2.99, I would buy the bottle. For the reason that it is Pappy. It's Pappy. It's a once-in-a-lifetime whiskey. You're never going to see it. I've never, ever seen one of these on the shelf. I've seen it at a lottery once or twice. They had one bottle, I think. So it's a really good whiskey. If you like highly oaked whiskey, you should definitely pop that thing open and drink it if you get one. But if you aren't a huge fan of heavily oaked whiskeys, you can definitely try to trade it and get some good bottles. Almost $2,000 worth of good bottles. That's most of this bar. Honestly, most of this bar here for $2,000. So I would definitely say pass on it for anything over $350. That's my personal opinion for what this is. It's obviously a very aged, very old, hard to find whiskey. So if you are an extreme bourbon hunter and money's no object, go nuts. Go nuts and get it. But there's definitely better value out there for whiskey. And not all of the Pappy Van Winkles just blow the rest of the whiskey in the world out of the water. Thank you all for being here for day 6 of Unicorn Week. We have 1 day left. I know, it's the end of the week, but we have got a very, very good head-to-head coming up. Another bottle, when it was announced, I wanted it so bad. You probably recognize the shape of that bottle right there. But This, I cannot wait to try. I'm really excited for it. So I will see you tomorrow. Make sure you are here for it. I love to see how it compares to the original. Stay insane, everyone.